here are the top 6 campaign structures that I'm using and you should be using too. However, before to start using that, there are a few caveats that you need to understand in order to start with it. And then I will dissect here in my ads manager what kind of campaigns structure are these. Okay, first things first, you might be wondering whether you should be using ABO, CBO, and how many creatives you need to use on each of those campaigns. And we will be dissecting this in the field. But first things first, you need to understand the concepts when it comes to advertising, okay? First of all, if you are losing money, you are getting ideas, buying data, analyze it, okay? And there's a guy taking a look at the campaign, right? So here's the concept behind this. You're getting information. You're not just losing money, okay? Think about it. People go to college, go to university, they waste a plethora of time, a plethora of money, and the same goes here, but actually it goes wasting way less money and way less time. So one of the things that I don't understand, why people validate college and universities, they don't face this as acknowledgement as well, because if you are losing money, you're getting ideas, you're getting knowledge, you're playing the field. It's like you're already starting a job rather than studying for this job, rather than getting a certification and then starting the job. You are getting experience, okay? Therefore, be aware of that. Every dollar that you spend, it wasn't in vain. You can use the information that you previously have gotten to take maximum leverage and start new ads and start trying new audiences, whatever inside that you had with this losing money that you had, okay? And here are more caveats before we see the structures that I'm currently using, okay? So campaign creation equals button pressing. As you can see here, is this green button. I try to emulate this in this drawing, okay? So campaign creation means pressing buttons. So there's nothing special on this, to be honest with you. What you do before creating plus how you manage it is the magic. This is my magic wand, okay? So here's the magic behind all of this. You're just pressing buttons to create a campaign. But what you do before creating, such as the overall strategy, the offer, and how we're going to create your scheme and tailor it for the specific audience is the real magic. And how you manage before is the real magic. But if you're just turning on and off ads, you're just pressing button. So you're not managing it correctly. Actually, how you manage it, it's your understanding after investing money and then getting new ideas. Here's the harsh truth and here's the magic. Okay, another concept is media buying without new creatives equals car without gas. This is very boring to hear. I know that. I know a lot of people said that, but unfortunately, it is the truth. You need more creatives. You need more gasoline to keep riding your car. Therefore, this concept is crucial in order to the maintenance of your campaign, okay? Especially when it comes to this concept shown here, because your cost per result will increase once we invest more budget and then you reach the audience saturation point and your cost per result increases a lot. And there is this optimization peak because we invest a little bit more and then your campaign gets the optimization and then the cost per result decreases but then increases again. But this graph should have a third line, which is time. Why do I not insert in that? Because I'm assuming that you're renewing your creatives. This is the ideal situation if you're renewing your creatives and using the same audience. There is the audience saturation point. But the third line also should be the time, because if you're investing a lower budget, you can maintain this point over here as long as you are renewing the creatives. But Marcelo, we wouldn't reach the audience saturation at some point? No, because the audience is always renewing. It's always like people are losing the interest and are having the interest from the audience that you're targeting, unless you're targeting a warm audience. But even a warm audience, if you're creating content, your warm audience is constantly changing. So this audience saturation, it only happens when you invest too much budget and you're not renewing your creatives and your audience is not renewing. But in general, the audience is always renewing. Okay, the last thing that you need to understand is stop creating similar creatives. This is go for people that are starting their business and people that have a medium business. Unless you have a super multi-millionaire business, this does not apply to you, okay? Because when you have volume of investing, change small things to the creatives can make you notice this difference because you have a big sample of ad spend on each of these variances. But when you're starting your company, you're not, even if you invest 1 or 2 million and you did invest like a super big company, focus on more blatant differences across your creatives, okay? Now, if we check this ads manager, we will see that we had a considerable ad spend over here. We spent like practically 40K in sales and direct sales campaigns, and we had a purchase conversion value of $300,325.40, providing us a return ad spend of 8 times. And I'm using these structures for these campaigns right here. So let's take a look at these structures, okay? Here are the 4 main structures, and then I will show you 2 new structures that I'm using. But basically, these are the structures, okay? And you might be wondering, what is this? And if you don't know what is this, let me firstly explain why do I use CBO, okay? And if you don't know what is CBO, take a look at this explanation. Looking here at the Ads Manager, you can see the Advantage Campaign Budget equals CBO, because CBO was Campaign Budget Optimization, okay? And it says, Advantage Campaign Budget will distribute your budget across currently delivering ad sets to get more results depending on your performance goal choices and bid strategy. You can control spending on each ad set by using ad set spending limit. And that's why I only use CBO, okay? Because ABO, you can control your budget across the ad sets. For each ad set, you have a budget. Whereas for CBO, we leave to Facebook decide on each ad set to spend automatically, and Facebook across the whole day knows more than you, because you need to take a look at the campaigns the whole time to change the budget. What I usually do is to set a minimum ad spend to test the ad set, and then I remove this, and then I leave to Facebook spend automatically, which is kind of a combination of EBO and CBO. Let me explain that to you. Let me explain using the first structure. The first structure basically encompasses 1 campaign, 3 ad sets, and 3 ads each. Okay? 1 campaign, 3 ad sets, 3 ads each, right? This is the 1-3-3 structure, right? So this is how it goes. If this is a ABO campaign, I can set to spend the budget on the ad set, right? So let's say we can set to spend on this one right here $17, $17, and $17 a day, right? This should be a 17, sorry. Well, with that, we'll give a proper testing across the ad sets, right? Because let's say if I have $50 to spend daily, this will totalize like 51. But anyways, let's say that I have 50 to spend daily, and then I test equally then. Yeah, this will work to test then. But let's say if this ad set has way more leads or purchases than the others, you would waste the rest of the budget here. That's why I prefer to use CBO, because here the budget distribution happens at the campaign level. Then Facebook would spend way more budget for this ad set, okay? But what I usually do is a hybrid strategy. Let's say if I have the same $50 to spend per day, I would just set a ad minimum spend of $10 for each of these and set my campaign budget at $5 per day. So we would spend $30 at least on each of these, and the remaining $20 I would leave to Facebook, to Meta, decide on each ad set it would spend. And that way, we would have a minimum ad spend for each ad set. We would test them, and then I would leave to Meta to spend the remaining budget. On the other day, I would remove this cap. I would remove this ad minimum, and then I would completely leave to Meta to spend the budget using CBO, because I prefer CBO, okay? And the same goes for the rest. The 1-3-5 is 1 campaign, 3 ad sets, and 5 ads in each ad set, okay? I don't like to use more than 5 ads per ad set, especially for restricted ads, not Advantage Plus. We're going to dissect this in the field. Also, there is this 1-5-3, 5 ad set, 3 ads for each ad set, and finally we have 1-5-5, which is like the largest campaign structure that I'm currently using. 1 campaign, 5 ad sets, and 5 ads for each ad set, okay? Before we dive into the last campaign structure, to the last 2 campaign structures that I'm using, we need to discuss what kind of audiences that I'm using. Lookalikes are not working as they did before, but anyways, let's say, but sometimes this structure right here could encompasses the same audience or different audiences. And you might be wondering, why would you use the same audience? And here's the reason. The reason why I'm using the same audiences let's say for this campaign structure 133, I would use 3 audiences that are the same. Let's say that the sport audience is a winning ad set. So I would replicate that 3 times, and then we will tackle different areas inside of the same pool, the same audience. This is the total audience. We will tackle different areas of this audience. And let's say that the first ad set had the best results. I would just turn off these 2, and then we will have a good start with the same audience because we tackle a different point, a different area, and then we will get a better optimization within the same audience. Okay. Also, you can use different audiences. Let's say you don't have a winning ad set, so we're just testing broad, the sport targeting, and a lookalike 1% of the website visitors. This might be a setup for your campaigns. And finally, here are the last 2 structures. These 2 are using the Advantage Plus feature, okay, and they are 114 and 116. 1 because it's just the Advantage Plus broad targeting, okay? And for those, I use more ads, but actually they are the same ads. It's just a winning ad with 4 headlines and 4 primary text variations. And the same goes here. Is the same audience, obviously Advantage Plus, broad Advantage Plus, and 6 assets. 6 ads that actually are the same video or image, but using different texting. Okay, so these are all my structures that I'm currently using, but remember to follow the principles over here about a campaign creation and about what you do before creating, plus how you manage it is the magic, right? And speaking of magic, I cast a spell on you, boom, and the spell says, those who do not subscribe to this channel will never reach a return on ad spend over 2. You got no option, my friend.
Subscribe, don't wait, hit the button for real. Transform your hustle, make the most of the deal. Clicks and leads from the screen to the sky. Media buyer for coaches, take your biz on a high. Course creators gather, ain't no time to lag. Ads sharpened up like a knife in a drag. Content so slick, make your wallet go swoon. Meta algorithms got you rich by noon.